Very good evening, friends. Hope you are able to hear me. So today we are going to continue with important supervised classification model, which is helping us to go with the strategy that is with respect to trade. So we need to analyze how this classification algorithm is going to understand the data and help us in predicting and taking decisions on trade. So there are few machine learning algorithms that is helping to make our decision, and one among them classification model is KNN algorithm. So we know that machine learning is one of the most popular approach from past decade, and it has become one of the integral part of our life. So it is implemented in a task where you will be having a human intervention, and where there is increase in the amount of data, and machine learning will become more prevalent with a necessary element for technological process. So machine learning is making a huge impact in various services like delivery, marketing, sales, healthcare, financial, agriculture, manufacturing, accounting, cyber security. So there are plenty of things. So one of the simplest machine learning algorithm for trade analytics, and that too it is a classification model, is KNN. So it is used to classify new data points based on some similarity that is measured from the data. So you can see that some of the data are distributed and it has been referred to be as chosen and made it as a group. And it has been classified based on some behavior. So we consider that as a measure of behavior with the help of distance function. See, if you are very close to your neighborhood, and this is your house, and this is your house, and this is your house, and this is your friend's house, and even though it is away from your house, you will be in the same track, and you will be in the same street, and you all will be the friends. Rather, you will be friend with more with the adjacent neighbor and less friend with the people who is having. So if you are in the same street, you will be friends. If you are in the different street, you will not be a friends. You will not be a friends. So the distance matters a lot, which is tells you what is the behavior that you have. So basically, classification is done based on the number of neighbor points. Let's say example, we have like a pink color nodes which has been highlighted, and you have an yellow color points highlighted. And when you see that there is an extra particular red color, or particular, let's say example, I'll take one white one. So I just need to check this particular color is belonging to which category, belongs to which category. So I'll just find out what is the distance between these two. So you find the distance between the maximum, the KNN. NN means nearest neighbor. The nearest neighbor. K is the value, the number of nearest neighbors who is having very close to this point. So you can see that the red colors are more closer to white color, or the new point. So since it is very nearer to red color, then this belongs to the classification red color, and it shows that same behavior. And it tells that it is having same behavior. So this is the idea behind. And when you are predicting to whether to buy or sell, so you will be having different points, which is of, this is of buying. This is of buying, and you will be having a red color of selling, which is of selling. Okay. So now you will be having a one more extra, that is having yellow color. And I just need to identify which group the yellow color belongs to. So, and I'll say KNN algorithm to find out that, and the K value is the neighbor values. So consider 5 neighbor, any randomly picked 5 neighbors, which is having least distance or very close to this point. Now in this, if I found there is 3 red colors, which is very close to it, and 2 white colors, which are very close to it. Even though this white color is very close to this yellow color, the reds are maximum. So the vote for joining the group of yellow color is towards red, the new point. The new point is yellow color. Here I am telling new point, and the group is red. So this is class 1, and yellow color is, I'm so sorry, white color. White color is classification 2. So this is buying the trade, and this is selling the trade. So now the new point is very closer to red color. That means it is buy the trade. So this is going to give and predict whether to buy or sell the trade. So this is a trading strategy with the help of KNN supervised machine learning model. So now we'll see quickly what is the distance formula. So the distance formula is root P1 minus Q1 whole square plus P2 minus Q2 whole square plus so on. So when I write a particular points in 2 dimension, each point has some coordinate x and y. We have a new point here, and I've told you to go with three neighbor points. When I ask three neighbor points, you can see that this is very close. So this point is very close to 2 red and 1 white. So 2 reds and 1 white. So now it belongs to 2. And now it belongs to red. So whatever I am finding is the distance, and it should be of minimum. So it will be calculating the distance and finding again with the minimum distance. So as we increase the K value, so accuracy also increases. So keep in mind that when you find the K value, the neighbors as more, you'll be familiar with how many classifications are there and how many to how much points it is very closer and it is very similar kind of characteristics. So this is a basic simple thing that you are familiar with the KNN. So it is a lazy learning method. You can see that within 10 minutes or 15 minutes, we could have gone through the KNN algorithm, and we are supposed to learn about the Python code, how it is implemented, there is nothing much rocket science in this. Just a distance between that and just measure that. That's it. So Euclidean distance is one of the math behind KNN. So this is a representation which gives a representing KNN. This is a new position, new point, which is helping us to choose the distance between considering 8 neighbors. How many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So even though it is very far, even though it is within the boundary, it is far. So you can see that 8 are there, out of which 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 are pink, and only 1, 2, 3. 3 are blue. So that means this belongs to the pink category. So like the same, we just need to analyze the data that has been changed over the time and need to plot the values and hence deciding to which group it belongs to or classification it belongs to. Okay. So now we'll directly get into the hands-on and then we'll try to understand that. So hope you are able to see my screen. Okay, let me reshare again. So hope you are able to see now. Okay, fine. So whenever we start with a machine learning problem, the first step is to understand the business understanding and data understanding. So this is important that the business understanding is for objectives and also defining constraints and also to provide data. So business understanding deals with giving the objective what they want with the constraints and also the data. So if the data is not there, we'll find other steps to find the data. And after understanding a business and you are analyzing the data, understanding the data, you need to process it and clean it. Data cleansing, pre-processing it. Next, you will have exploratory data analysis. Next, you have model selection. And next, you have model evaluation. And next, you have deployment. And next, you have monitoring and maintenance. So now we got to understand with the business, we already have a data and we are supposed to do with the data pre-processing and cleaning. And you are supposed to do EDA. So we have discussed the EDA when we have bivariate, univariate, and one more multivariate. You have first moment is business decision, second, third, fourth, graphical representation, and probability distribution. So all this comes under EDA. So when you are cleaning the data, you have plenty of tasks, challenges. You need to verify for the null values, that is missing values, duplications, typecasting, and creating dummy variables. If it is a categorical data, since it is a classification, obviously we need creating a dummy data. So all these are important. So let me give you a simple link where you can directly go and get the details. So 360 have come up with a good mind map for data science, which I'm going to show you. So here we have in 360digi.com mind map. So it is going to give mind map for all the courses which we have. Once we see the mind map, we'll come to know everything. What is what we are supposed to study, under what you are supposed to study, what topics and what is relevant and how we are designing that. So when we look into the roadmap or mind map, you can understand what is under what. So you can see that I've written CRISP MLQ. First step is business understanding. Next is, okay, under business understanding, you also have data understanding. Next, you have cleansing, EDA, mining, machine learning, model evaluation, model deployment, and monitoring. So data cleansing, you have data cleaning, preparation, EDA separate, feature engineering. So this is all about with respect to EDA. Now, data understanding, or I say data cleaning. So data cleaning has all these, I told you, right? Typecasting, handling duplicates, outliers, zero and zero, non-zero, near zero variance, discretization, missing values, dummy variable creation, standardization, normalization, string manipulations. So when you have dummy variables, when you want to create dummy variables for category, you will follow one-hot encoding, label encoding, dummy coding, effect coding, bin counting scheme, feature hashing scheme, all these methods. And you just need to be aware of these words because nobody is going to ask you how it is done. Later at the stage when you get experience, if you are a fresher, they'll be asking you, what is dummy variable? How do you create it? What is the method to solve dummy variables? How do you avoid missing values? How do you detect outliers? What is typecasting? What do you mean by standardization? How do you do that? What is the method? So they'll be asking you all this. So you need to be aware of those words. So I prefer for data science, this is the exact point where you can easily remember this mind map. This gives you more information and extraordinary details that you need to remember easily. So moving on to the KNN, first you need to import the packages which are required for dealing with data manipulation. When I say data manipulation, you are dealing with a structured data. Structured data. So we have structured data, semi-structured data, and unstructured data. Unstructured data. So structured data in the sense, the data that we are getting in rows and columns. The data which are getting in rows and columns. And semi-structured data is something like the data that is also with respect to rows and columns. However, it has been defined by the user with the variables. Variables types. When you look into the data, you'll be having, let's say example here, the name and the age column. Here also name, age, sex, and year of experience, salary. So name is a type of float. Age is integer. Sex is string. Here we are not defining it. So Python itself understanding that by looking into the data. That means the name, age, sex, year of experience, salary, all these are variables of type respective types. So this is understood by pandas because it is dealing with data which is in tabular format and their types of the variables are identified. So it is going to understand for all this, you will be having float type, and for age integer type, and for sex, you will be having string type. So this is what pandas is going to do. And numpy. So whenever I want to get the average age of the people in the data set, when I want to say what is the average age of a people in the data set, it needs to count for collecting all the people, and how many are there totally. Average in the sense, average means the total number, the summation, sum of all the age divided by the total number of people. So I would have written rather sum of all age. Sum of all age divided by total number of people. Let's say example, we have 300 sum of age and divided by 10 people. And it becomes 30. So 30 is the average age of the people who are in the list. So this calculation can be done using NumPy. So hope you are getting it. Okay. So now that is manipulation. When you are doing something with respect to data and interacting with the data, we tell that it is a data manipulation. So when you want to plot the same given data onto the diagram or a graph, we use matplotlib.pyplot and we are considering that as a PLT. So as here refers to alias. And for k nearest neighbor classification problem, we do require important package that is sklearn. So it is an important package that contains most of the machine learning functionalities. So most of the machine learning functionalities are there under sklearn. This is also referred to as scikit-learn. So it contains the metrics and neighbors. Metrics is for performance calculation. So we need to calculate the performance of the model, right? The accuracy check. For calculation of performance, the performance metrics is accuracy. For classifier, when it is regression, it will be mean absolute error, mean square error, root mean square error. So like this we usually tend to use root mean square error. I'm not telling you that the classifier using accuracy and regression using error. See, accuracy plus error is almost 1. I can also write accuracy plus error in a percentage is 100%. When I say 90% good, then you obviously say 10% bad. So how did you get 10? 100 minus the good, you get the bad one. So whenever you calculate accuracy, you can calculate error. Whenever you calculate error, indirectly you can go with accuracy. So this is a method. So in regression, we find most of the time errors and we tend to reduce the error. Whereas in classification problem, we tends to have accuracy, increase the accuracy. So for that, we do require performance matrix, that is accuracy score by sklearn.matrix. Now, for fetching the data, when you have an Excel sheet or CSV file, you can easily download from your local system, local machine. From your premise, you can use it and extract the data. But whereas the data is in different area, if the data, the stock data, let me talk about stock now. So trading, the shares, trade, stock market, everything is similar. So I need to extract from the particular website or particular the shares point where it is giving you the details about trade. So one of them is Y Finance, that is Yahoo Finance. So this is going to have a lot of information with regards to trade, and it will be identifying and listing all the companies. And you are just import this package and make sure that it will go and get all the details as per the package that has been defined already. So if you are not having this package, you need to install it. Pip install Y Finance. If you are installing it in Jupyter Notebook, install like this. If you are installing it in either Google Colab, Jupyter Notebook, IPython Notebook, or Google Colab, you try with this command. Whereas if you are trying with the other tool, use the command prompt, go to the environment, and then install, saying pip install whatever the package that is. So we need Y Finance and pandas underscore data reader. So it is going to read the data from that particular link. Now these are the some of the important packages required for us to do a strategy, so that it will be identified whether to buy or sell. So we already know the output. So the output is known. When I say output is known, it belongs to supervised category. And the output is categorical data. The output is based on category. It is not continuous. So hence it is under classification problem. Okay. So now we got an idea that it is going to have a categorical data, and it is classification problem, and it is going to extract the data. Now the data is to be extracted. Get the data Yahoo, and the date from start date and the end date, and this is a company that is going to extract. And it says this line says df.drop_na. If you have any null values, so it is going to drop. If you have any empty space when you are extracting the code, when you have in the column, particular column, if you have any empty cell, then you need to drop that. That is a mean. And for the given column, you will be changing the column name as open, high, low, close. What is open? What is high? What is low? What is close? Open in the sense, what is the price of the shares or the stock on that particular day, particular beginning of the day. Let me write that. Very beginning of the day. So close is the rate, the price at the end of the day or close of the day, end of the day. So whether it is high or low. So we got the data. Now we are supposed to analyze the data. Now we just need to, again, when you have high, low, open, close, you need to estimate, which one should be independent variable and which one should be dependent variable. So you are making it as combining the column. When you are taking a difference between high and low and open and close, you'll get two values. This is one value and this is one value. So which is a target variable? A target variable is when you have the variable which is referred to be as output. The target is output. At the end of the day, what you have. So at the end of the day, what you have the amount. So based on this amount, we will judge whether to buy or sell. So based on the, not based on the high, low or open, based on the closing, the amount that is with respect to the close of the day. So hence we are referring the target variable as close. After referring to those, we are supposed to split the data. So you have a data and you are supposed to make sure that the model which you are designing is learning your data. If your model wants to learn your data, then you need to make sure that some portion of the data should be given for model to get trained. So whatever the model you are considering, whatever the data that you are considering needs to split with the train and test, because the model need to learn from this. Once it is learned, we'll test it. You have a syllabus, you'll make them to understand, learn, and get trained. So they'll learn and they'll be having test and exam. So they'll be asking from this only. And we are not sure what it will be asked. So this is a important key point that we need to be aware whenever you have a data needs to be splitted. So you can see that the data is splitted as the 70% of the data is considered to be as so more pattern of data given for training will be accurate, will be more accurate because it is learning different patterns. It is going to learn different patterns. And whenever you find a similar pattern in this, it is also giving you the same accuracy. So when train accuracy and test accuracy are different, when you are not having these similarities, that shows that they have outliers, which is affecting the accuracy. So this is a main thing that you need to be keep in mind. So now it has been splitted and now we use the model K neighbors classifier model, and we are supposed to pass what is the value of K, and this is adjustable. So you need to check for 15 neighbors, 20 neighbors, 30 neighbors, 35 neighbors. So more number of neighbors, more number of accuracy, more accuracy. Okay, and that doesn't mean that you need to increase beyond the limits. So see to that some number is given to calculate the accuracy. So once the model is given with a K value and it needs to be fitted with the train value. And after fitting with the train, you will need to predict it. So KNN dot predict X train with Y train. Next X test with the Y test. So you'll be getting accuracy train and accuracy test, which is of 56 and 52. So training is going to understand and give the accuracy of 56 and the testing is also giving 52. So it is almost similar, almost same. It is with respect to 55 to 60 range or 50 to 60 ranges. So this is acceptable and that says that it does not have any much outliers. Now, I got to know that the data is almost accurately predicting with the values and understanding the data. Now, we just need to understand how far it is the similar. Like whenever I consider SPY returns, the company's returns, it needs to belong to some category, right? So we have red and green categories. So this is what it belongs to, or it belongs to which category it will show. So we need for that a data to be predicted with a new value. A new value. What is the new value that you are considering here? You can see that the X, what is open minus close, high and low. So for this, You just need to do it. So the X is given here as this option. So these two columns. Earlier we used to check for this data set. Now we are considering this and you are calculating the classes. So I've taken to predict X and it will be saved in the predicted signal and it returns with log of those values. Why I'm taking log of those values? Because those are all bigger numbers and it will increase the computation cost. Hence I'm taking log value. So it will be between 0 to 1. And it is going to calculate the cumulative sum. What do you mean by cumulative sum? How do you calculate the cumulative sum? Let's say example, I have a value 2468. Now what is the cumulative sum of this list? Say L is equal to this. So I'll be getting first 2, next 6, next 12, next 20. So 2 plus 4 is 6, 6 plus 6 is 12, 12 plus 8 is 20. So this is what we calculate as cumulative sum. And now here you can see that it has been shifted to 1. Of course, you can say that the df by close is almost same 1. No, it is not. So it is shifted to 1 and then it is going to calculate. Let's say example like this, the first option with second. So it is going to shift for next level and needs to calculate the log of those values and identifying that particular returns. So this is one. And we are making a strategy. So there are two categories. One is cumulative returns and one is strategy. So this is also doing with respect to SPY returns and predicting the signals, shifting 1, the cumulative sum. So once you calculate the cumulative strategy and cumulative SPY returns, you will be plotting the same with respect to different colors. Obviously, you will be having different values because you are working on different columns. So for the given neighbor n value 30, I'm getting this. When you change the particular k value to 15, 20, so this will also get changed. So you can see that it was almost the same. The cumulative strategy and the returns was almost the same somewhere here. Here it was increasing and it got decreased. Here now it is increased and it got decreased and it becomes same some level. And after that it becomes like this and it got increased. So based on some calculations with the time series, we can tell that it returns from this value to this or this date to this around 10% of cumulative returns and 25% of strategies. You can see that it is 25%. 25% of strategies, or this is 10%, and it is having here these percentages or probabilities. So this is having 10% of data, this one, and this is having 25%. So this graph is for earlier have changed and this graph is for when k equals to 30. However, these values, what I have written is for k value 15. Okay, so this gives you that clear idea that you have two categories. When it belongs to this category, it will be. And for validating, so validating that particular, we have Sharpe ratio. So you calculate the standard deviation for cumulative strategy returns, and you pass the difference between strategy returns and SPY returns divided by standard deviation. That will be your Sharpe formula. So Sharpe ratio is equal to the differences divided by standard deviation. So how do you calculate standard deviation? Standard deviation for the strategy returns and cumulative SPY returns. So then take whatever you got, the average of that. So average of mean of SR will give you the result. So the Sharpe ratio for 30 neighbors is 0.26. For 15, I'll be getting 1.66. So it varies from 1 to 5 or 1 to 2 or 1 to some value. So it keeps on changing, 0 to 1, 0 to -1, like this. So this going to validate how far or how your KNN model is accurate. So it gives you the strategy. When I say with respect to time series, it will give you a strategy that which one should be considered. See, let's say example, I'm getting 0.26 means I'm just going with strategy. So it always, the Sharpe ratio always returns the excess of market returns per unit. Okay. So that is a strategy. So the trading strategy is very simple to buy and sell. So it is going to predict by calculating the cumulative strategy and returns. So when you calculate that, we use the KNN algorithm and then conclude that it is having a Sharpe ratio of our strategy as 26% or 0.26. So you can also give a try for the data, whatever you have, and check for the same. And can conclude whether to buy or not, whether to go or not. So this is a KNN that is giving you the idea. So I'm stopping here. If you have any doubts, you can mention in the chat box, so that happy to explain that. Okay, there is one question like, why only KNN has been chosen as a classification algorithm? So since it is very simple and it is one of the very basic, without much calculations, one of the very basic classification algorithm, we took that, and going forward the another 3 days we'll try to explore 2 3 classification model and try to compare which classification model is good for trading strategy. It is not that you always need to use KNN algorithm for trading strategy. This is one of the classification method. So we have decision tree, we have support vector machine, we have random forest, we have that's it, the classification algorithm. So we can just go with one of the classification algorithm. So we have seen KNN, and probably in the next coming sessions we might come across several other algorithms, classification algorithm that is helping our trading strategy. Okay, hope I have answered your question. Okay, fine. Any other questions? Okay, great. Okay, thank you so much friends for attending the session. So have a nice weekend ahead. Please don't forget to subscribe the channel, and please get updated with the new analytical domains skill and what that domain is telling all about, and how these machine learning and artificial neural network is helping all the domains. It is not only with respect to the trade domains, trade analytics, it is helping all the domains. So we have come up with reaching out somewhere around 56 domains. We are touching almost 56 domains and extracting how machine learning is impacting on the domains. Not only machine learning, we also touched some portion of deep learning concept also, that is neural network, because most of the time neural network is also very good for classifiers, classification problem, and also some of the portion like regressor. So we touched that part also. So please kindly subscribe so that you will get a notification and you will be getting updated. So it is free of cost. You need not to worry about that, so that you will be getting all the notifications. So 360DigiTMG is coming up with an informative, knowledgeable topics, choosing different domains and making aware that you need not to be of the same domain like computer science, information technology to work with data science and machine learning. Irrespective of, even if you are working in manufacturing, marketing, HR, finance, banking sector, everywhere data is loaded, you need some or the other way the skills that to understand and analyze the data. So please make sure that without leaving a job, try to understand and learn data science course from 360DigiTMG and get an opportunity to upskill and then move ahead in your career growth. That helps you to get a new designation in your current position. So I wish you all the best and we'll meet in the next session. Okay, friends, bye. Take care. We'll meet in the next session.